I'd like to read from chapter 10 of my my book, Justice Gone Haywire. It's on Amazon. Okay. It was late July 9th, 1977, and Kathleen Crowell, 16, was getting off her shift as a cashier and cook at a Long John Silver's restaurant. She was scared. She and her boyfriend had engaged in sexual intercourse the previous evening. She feared a pregnancy would lead her foster parents to expel her from the nicest home she'd ever lived in. Years later, she would relate how horrible the birth home was and how her earliest memory was of her parents fighting. And on that evening, Kathleen faked a rape so her foster parents would not blame her if she was pregnant. She walked into a wooded area where she pinched herself, ripped buttons off her clothes, and made scratch marks on her stomach with broken glass. She knew that she bruised easily, so she felt certain that the marks she made from pinching herself could be seen by others as marks an attacker would cause. Her plan was to tell her foster mom and dad that she had been raped, but ask them not to call the police about it. She left the wood and walked right into the glaring headlights of a police car. Seeing a bruised teen girl with ripped clothes, the officers naturally enough drove her to the station, where she burst into tears. Earlier, she'd been terrified her foster parents would kick her out for getting pregnant. Now she feared they would expel her from their home for lying. She realized she'd painted herself into a corner, but she could not summon the courage to tell anyone, police or foster parents, the truth. So she told the authorities a story inspired by a rape scene in a popular romance she'd recently read, Sweet Savage Love by Rosemary Rogers. Okay, she was shown mugshots and pretended to examine them. She told officers she didn't see any of her attackers among the mugshots. To a police sketch artist, she gave an invented description. However, eventually, a few days later, a cop saw the sketch, thought it resembled high school dropout Gary Dotson, who had some scrapes with the law for minor offenses like possession of a stolen TV. Okay, he went to her house with the photographs. She said no, the attacker wasn't among them. They asked her to take a second look. She realized one photograph was strikingly similar to what the sketch artist had drawn. And she thought, if I don't identify him, they're going to know I'm lying. She identified him, thinking, I hope this guy has a good alibi for where he was. And anyway, the result of that false identification was that an innocent man, well, you can find out the rest. You probably know the rest, some of it at least. And I hope you'll learn details of it and implications of it by buying my book, Justice Gone Haywire. Now, the thing about it is, most rape cases are well founded. But like every other crime, there are going to be, some false reports. And in this case, the false report does have a kind of some larger implications because of the fact that sexual activities tends to start before people are ready to start families. This is a real problem, a very large problem in our society. Anyway, I really do hope that maybe I've inspired somebody to buy my book, Justice Gone Haywire. It'd really help me out if you did.